2022 is nearing the end, and Christmas is creeping upon us. Check under your tree, and what do you find? A gift from me? Wow, aren't you special? Say thank you for me giving you this gift. All jokes aside, this year's been very hectic for me, especially the later half. So I thought, why not just reminisce on the games that I played this year and talk about which one's my favorite. I've always wanted to make one of these videos for a while now. I do this a bit different than most YouTubers as well. Not only will I be talking about games that have released this year, but games that I've also played for the first time no matter how old they are. Then I'll tell you which one's my favorite and talk about them in the order in which I played them. Without further ado, let's jump right in. First up is Pokemon Shield. I'm pretty late to the Switch game, to be honest, because I've only had it for about 2 years, if that. And the first Pokemon game I had for the Switch was Let's Go, so I wasn't really eager to jump into another one. And then hearing about the negativity of Pokemon Shield and not really liking the starters as much, even though I loved every Pokemon game even up to Sun and Moon, it really wasn't a must-buy purchase for me. However, I did receive it as a gift. And once I buckled down and played it, I absolutely loved it. I thought this game was amazing. I even started to like the starters a little bit more. I also enjoyed how they added the Pokemon Go raid battles, and the huge open big area. The towns and the customizing clothing and everything else, and also the DLC. I thought the DLC was really fun. I don't know, I really enjoyed this game a lot more than I thought I would, and I was stuck playing it for a while because I did a lot in it. I enjoyed the story and also enjoyed the gyms, and then the characters themselves within the gyms was made to feel like the gyms were a lot more important than any other game. I mean, other than Sun and Moon, because it was your coming of age trials, but still. Honestly, the only thing negative I can say about it is the DLC and its pricing, because I feel like the DLC should be added with the game and not cost the same price as the game. I wouldn't have bought it if I didn't get the game gifted to me, because I just think that's too much for a Pokemon game. The next game I played right after that is Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shiny Pearl. I got Shiny Pearl, and I know for me this is kind of a odd thing to do, because normally I play like one Pokemon game a year, because once you played one Pokemon game you played them all, so I don't really try to jump into them that much, just so I don't have Pokemon burnout. I like Diamond and Pearl, so I thought it was a no-brainer to buy this. First, I kind of wanted the remake to be like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire with the graphics, but I got accustomed to it, and I actually thought the graphics were pretty cute and cool the way they did it to make it look like the older games. It's kind of hard to talk about this after talking about Shield, because Pokemon is basically Pokemon at the end of the day. However, I did enjoy the breath of fresh air they added to it, such as the underground cave systems, and making it much easier to get Pokemon and your fire types. And the Pokemon following behind you, unlike in the original game where it could only be in that certain area. Up next is Kirby the Forgotten Land. Now, I absolutely love this game. I love this game so much. I mean, I actually made a video on it. You should check it out if you want to know how my feelings are of that game, but it is one of the best Kirby games I've ever played. Easily topping my favorite Kirby game up until this point, which is Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. And as a huge Kirby fan that's played basically almost every Kirby game out there, I just can't talk about this enough, and I don't want to stretch this video out longer than what it is. So if you want to know how I feel about that in more depth, you can check the video I made. After that, I played Grand Theft Auto 5 for the first time ever, and boy, must I say, it was a breathtaking, amazing experience. I always heard so many good things about this game, and now I know why. There's so much talk about it. Now, me and the Grand Theft Auto series have a love-hate relationship. Like, personally, I've played them all, but I've only beat like San Andreas and I think Vice City, but that was such a long time ago, and I actually had help with it just because some of the missions were very hard, and that's why I didn't really get much back into Grand Theft Auto, because you can't really skip missions that are like really hard for you, which luckily they fixed in this game. So that's why I enjoyed this game from beginning to end, and it just blew my mind. From the characters, the environment, like, oh my gosh, I love Los Santos. It almost feels like I could just live there. Like, it is just amazing. I love the driving physics, driving around, which is why my favorite car is the Caddy, and going in the first person mode and driving like a normal person. Yep, I'm that guy. But after playing it, it makes me want to jump back into the Grand Theft Auto series. Now that I'm older, maybe the missions won't be as hard as I remember as a kid. Maybe that's for another day. And the story was just amazing. I can really see why this game got so much hype and why it is still very talked about to this day. Uh-oh, that sound. You know what that means, everybody. Speed round. Note, I'm going to be talking about a spoiler on this game in particular. Skip to here if you don't want to find out about it. Omori. I thought this was a really fun game. It's amazing to see what people are doing with the RPG Maker games, especially like someone who uses RPG Maker. It's great to see them go to like mainstream in a sense. However, the only negative thing I have for it is that I think the dream sequence went on a little bit too long than what they needed to be. And the ending, I'd rather it be that he pushed her down the stairs, well he kind of did and killed her that way, and just left it as that. And kind of his parents got divorced because of that, and then he just felt guilty over it. Not the whole let's make it look like an accident and hang her from a tree. I mean, come on, we're the police investigation during this. But then again, for people who live in small towns, you know how that can be. Next is new Pokemon Snap for the Switch. Now, like the original, I didn't care much for it just because of you always got to backtrack and give a Pokemon a certain item to see a new part of the track, and it makes the content feel bloated. However, playing this with someone though, like which I did, kind of cut down on the grinding because we always try to compete to get better score. Other than that, I couldn't have played it. Tales of Symphonia. I bought this a while back and I started playing it and then I dropped it, and now I finally picked it back up to play it. Ironically, after I beat it, they announced the remake for the Switch, or the remastered. I thought it was good, but I thought it dragged on way longer than what it should have, and it should have ended a lot sooner. And you have plot A to getting to plot B, but to get to plot B, you go through so much nonsense, I feel. But then again, just because I play RPGs and how I am, I try to get everything in the first playthrough, so it might be my fault as well. But to give you an example. Now, I'm just trying to paraphrase, and like I said, it's been a while since I played it, so my memory's not 100% fresh, but the Mana Cannon, you have to build something to have access to it or something like that. So they tell you need to go get an item in order to do that, but then they say, oh, we can't make this item over here, maybe you can go to your dad. So then you go to Lloyd's dad, well, the elf, and then he's like, oh, you can't make that here. Maybe you have to go back to the other world and then talk to the elf. So then you go talk to the elf. Well, I need a book to learn how to do that. Then, oh my goodness, Rain is sick. We need to get her better. Oh, but before we get her better, we need to talk about her backstory, about her family. It's like, it's not really, can we get her better first before we start doing that? Then you get the poison thing to help with the poison from the guy, and then all of a sudden the Pope appears. Then you gotta battle him, then you gotta find the king, and then you get in trouble because it's not really the king or something like that. Then they find out it's from the Pope instead. Then you finally get the book, and then once you get the book, you can do the thing with the Mana Cannon, and then bam, Rain gets sick and needs to go get a leaf for her. And then you gotta get some item from the company, from the president, mainly just because maybe I just sat down and I didn't take a break from this game, so I kind of pushed my way through to see it to the end because I didn't want to drop it again. Maybe that might have an effect with it, but that's just, I didn't care too much for it. I mean, it was fun and it was good and I really liked it when I finally beat it, but I just feel like there's a lot of unnecessary things that happen. Ni no Kuni. I absolutely love this game. I love the Studio Ghibli films, and this made me feel like I was part of those films and one of the main characters, which I really wasn't because, I was Ollie Boy. But nonetheless, I thought this game was really good, very beautiful. I loved the animation, I loved the story, I loved the characters and everything about it. Pablo Lacroix. Now this game I actually enjoyed quite a bit and I thought it was fun. It wasn't too hard. It's kind of easy and really fun. I mean, yeah, it was kind of grindy, but it felt like the good old RPG days, and it got me into Pablo Lacroix, and I'm going to go buy the one for the 3DS, even though I know it's different. Speaking of old RPGs, Chrono Trigger. I finally sat down and played this game. Now, my backstory with this game is that I got bored with it, playing it, and I dropped it, never picked it up again till many years later, I should add. Finally beat it, and it's still got kind of the same feeling. It's okay. It's not great or nothing, but I do see why so many people like it and why it was such a phenomenon back in the day. But it was good nonetheless. Digimon Survive. Now, if you see my last video, you can tell that I was really hyped for this game, and I'm going to make a review on it. I was going to, but life got in the way. But I'm going to still release that video later. Now, for a visual novel, which I have played many before, I thought some of the dialogue padding was a little bit much at times, and I thought some of the downtime stuff was kind of repetitive. Yet when I actually got to the story, I thought the story was amazing. I felt like I was watching the show, and I loved the anime series, again, my last video that I made, and I thought this was a good game. Some of the chapters were kind of hard to get through, which if anyone's played the game or looked into it, like the 3, 4, and 5 or something like that, like they were kind of rough, but some of the chapters, once the ball started rolling, it was just great. Now the last game that I beat is Pokemon Scarlet. Yeah, 3 Pokemon games in a year. That's a lot for me. So it might be some of the Pokemon burnout that I'm suffering is why I feel certain ways towards this game. So later down the road, I might just replay it or maybe pick up Violet, really sink my teeth in, but this game just, I don't know how to say it, like it just felt empty. Like it just didn't feel like the journey was that good. Now I did like the Team Star stuff and I did like the herbal stuff, but even then, like, okay, probably Stars was the best, and then the herbal thing was like, man, and even like the Pokemon League and the champions and all that stuff, I didn't really care about that in this game at all, which is the complete opposite for Shield for me. And like, I honestly didn't feel much for this game and its characters till like, well, at the end of the game, because obviously spoiler reasons I'm not going to go into. And I just feel like, if they took another year or two to work on this game, this could have been the best Pokemon game ever. But it's just, there's something missing there. I don't know how to quite put words on it. If you've got a similar feeling and you can put it in better words, let me know in the comments below. Like, it's still a fun game. The roaming around, the battling, and it's just that it didn't feel as like Sword and Shield or Sun and Moon was for me. The school seemed like wasted potential and getting closer with the teachers and just I don't know, I just feel like they could have done a lot more, and if they had the time to do it, I think this would have been an amazing game. Compared to Arceus, didn't play it, but I watched someone play it. But I have it, and I'm going to play it, but Pokemon Burnout. And as of now, that is all the games that I've played this year, and I'm going to talk about the ones that I'm currently playing, which are Persona 3, Dancing in Moonlight, which I love the Persona cast, I love the Persona series, and I just think this is a really good game. I don't really care much for I love the dancing games. I don't really care much for the other ones though, because they make the characters one-noted, and I don't like that about them, specifically in the spin-offs. And Q. To me personally, I think the dancing games are my favorite of the spin-offs of the Persona series. And I played the Arena and the Arena Ultimax, but I didn't care much for them, and the Qs didn't care much for them, just because of what they did to the characters in those games. They're all like so one-noted. And another game that I'm currently playing is Rune Factory 4. I have beaten the game, and I took a break, the main story, and I'm trying to trigger the third arc, and that's why I went to Dancing in Moonlight. And I'm absolutely enjoying Rune Factory 4 a lot. I can see why a lot of people love this game. Because personally, I'm not an Animal Crossing person, and I'm more of a Harvest Moon person, but even then, I don't care much for Harvest Moon as much. Because I like to have an initiative to do things instead of just like, oh, here's your farm, take care of it, or oh, here's a town, build on it. And it's like, I'm not really that type of gamer, you can say. So Rune Factory 4 is right up my alley. I do love the aspects of like Animal Crossing and Harvest Moon, but I also like to have a story with it, and that's what this game does, and that's why I enjoy it quite a bit, which is kind of making me want to pick up Harvestella. And now, it's time for me to talk about the favorite game that has been released this year that I've played. And the winner is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. It's not a surprise if you saw that video that I posted about the game, but I really enjoyed this game a lot, and it just blew all my expectations out of the water. And I've been waiting for Kirby to have a game like this for a long time now, and it was just amazing. I enjoyed every bit of it. Now, my favorite game that I've played for the first time this year goes to Grand Theft Auto 5. This game really was amazing. Like, to me, I can see why this game's been talked about for a long time now, and almost a decade, I want to say. And I finally understand all the hype that it gets and why everyone likes this game so much. Like, it really is. I love the characters. I love the gameplay. I love like everything. Like, you can tell they put a lot of work into this game, and it's just amazing, and I can't wait for the new one, which is going to be a while. Thanks again for watching this video, and I hope you watched it from the beginning to the end, and let me know what your favorite game is of this year, or if a new game that's not even released this year, but you played it for the first time. Let me know what that is for you. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.